what was the scariest situation for you guys? You had security, but anything drastic?
We didn't. We only had security for 2-3 days of the shoot, and that was when the weapons were out. So the Kenyan police were with us. But I think there's 2 stories that scared each of us. I was more scared by one. You were more scared by the other. The first one that scared me was Raphael, our other producer, was like, first day in country. We go to this, we're at like a concert near the beach, basically, a few hours from where we're staying, and it was, we walk out on the beach and we're sort of walking into the shadows, and guys with AK-47s in military uniforms grab us and point the guns at us and handcuff us to one another. So I was handcuffed to Raphael, and John was handcuffed to another a friend that we met there. And they started walking us into the ocean and away from the concert and everything. And I'm thinking, they're saying, this is going to be a CNN incident, you can't be here, you're trespassing, and we're going to take you to jail. And let me tell you, when there's a rifle pointed at you, it just changes the dynamic of the situation in a real way. And we basically paid them everything we had, and they let us go. But it turned out to be this kind of, it was great material, because all of a sudden we realized that's sort of what it feels like for guys on the, on a crew of one of these ships when the pirates come aboard and point guns at them and demand the money. The other one, the story I'm thinking of for you was
on the pickup.
Yeah, the pickup truck.
Yeah, so we were most of the days we couldn't get enough things put together until like late in the afternoon. So we shot at the golden hour for most of the film, which is great. I'm trying to do that. But one day we're shooting the pickup stuff in this really like out of the way area, which has not many people around. And we're shooting and shooting.
It's a bad area.
Yeah, it's a bad area. It's like developing in a developing place. And so after we've got the sun's going down, so I'm already freaking out, being like, shoot the damn scene type scenario. 50 dudes roll up out of nowhere, and they're all drunk and hopped up on Cutter or Murrah, which is like a stimulant that you just chew all day long, and eventually you're just like speeded out. And most pirates chew it because it gives them the stimulant to do something rash and incredibly crazy. They also chew it because it keeps you from getting seasick. But all these guys show up because they like to party, and they're like, these white guys are definitely paying us a ton of money for being here right now.
Yeah, and we had paid off some guys in the neighborhood to rent this land, basically to watch out for us, keep people away basically. And it was a subtle threat on their part, which was you have to pay us. And so that was early in the morning. Yeah. This is the end of the day. A new group of people showed up.
It was like 50 dudes.
Plane. Yeah, but they sort of outnumbered them.
Yeah.
And Harold mentioned that there was some thought that like there was also like gasoline huffing going on or something. Like they were really
It was a bad part of town, and this was like some of the bad dudes who were doing stuff in the bad part of town. And like all I could think of was we're losing light. So and they're like yelling and screaming at Harold in Swahili, and I know none of these guys understand a word I'm gonna say. So I just start freaking out and yelling as loud as I possibly can, like just going ape crazy. And that kind of makes them like, because at this point I have a beard down to here, I'm wearing a headdress. Like
people called him Osama bin Laden.
Yeah, I was crazy. Yeah, I was crazy looking. So
I'm in the back of the pickup truck, and it's unclear whether I can leave to take this shot, basically. Yeah. And John and Harold are negotiating with these guys. Where it's like they sort of are not letting us leave. And John and Harold are like, Cutter, leave, get out of here. And so from my perspective, I'm in the back of this truck with these guys, with these Somalis who are locals, and they started getting nervous. They were like, we should get out of here. And when they got nervous, then for me it was like, oh shit, like these guys, maybe this is trouble. Yeah, they are visibly nervous. So I drive off, and I'm looking at John and Harold, off in the distance. I'm thinking like, man, this might be the last time I see those two. Like, I sure hope we get this shot.
First thing he says to me, I'm like, you get out of here right now. He's like, well, who's gonna hold the sound? I'm like, forget the sound, get out of here. So he got out, and then I immediately just like went even-toned jester, like total goofy guy. I was like trying to juggle like stones, just to be like, I am crazy. I'm the craziest person you've met. And so they dealt with Harold, and Harold was like more even-toned, and I was just like bipolar crazy person. So it was fine.
Good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, good cop, bad cop within the same person.
What's crazy too though is that the scene that we were shooting was Abdi getting grabbed by these guys, and it's all just sort of like, you know, full of fear on his part, and that was what was really going on in the scene was, you know, these guys were nervous and scared and all this, and I just feel like that kind of stuff is to me what like this particular style of filmmaking is all about, which is, you know, write a script and then leave so much room for things that are going to happen that are going to influence the scene and make the scene, you know, more realistic, just because what's going on sort of behind the scenes is actually influencing it in a real way.
Last question.
In Kenya, and how you set up casting in that kind of environment?
We were in Mombasa, Kenya, which is 60 miles from south of Somalia, and it has a huge Somali refugee population. And so we chose that part of Kenya for that reason, because there were so many Somalis living there, and then there were also so geographically we could mimic Somalia a little bit. But the casting was basically, we arrived, we spent 2.5 weeks or so writing the short, and then, which we continued to change as we went along, but we wrote something that we at least knew the characters we needed, and we started holding, we basically held an informal casting, or a formal casting session.
Yeah.
And we basically went with this one guy named Abu Bakar, and Abu Bakar was like, he had some influence in the community. He was like this,
he brought illegal cable to everyone.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to do
I was
illegal cable guy.
Well, yeah, I was going to say that he was this mysterious figure who everyone looked up to, and we always wondered, what is it? Why is Abu Bakar so powerful? Why does everybody like look at him? What he just said, he rewired cable, which is something that's only for the very rich in Kenya. And he, you know, he basically had like hundreds of customers all over town, who he was the man who fixed their cable, and he was like the Somali talent agency. He was like, everybody in town, when we would, you know, try to work with somebody else, you know, they would say, you know, we wanted to talk to an actor, and the actor would say, well, I have to talk to Abu Bakar. You know, like he's the guy. And he was the guy. One day we had cast a bunch of, you know, sort of a gang of pirates. We show up and we're gonna meet and hang out with them and talk to them about what we're gonna do. They basically had a strike and all got up and left. You know, it was just a big fight, and they're all yelling at us and saying that it's not a fair deal, and they all leave. And this is maybe noon, and we say, what are we gonna do? All our actors quit. And Abu Bakar is like, no problem. And like, he's like, give me till the end of the day. And by 5, 6 o'clock that night, we're at another, you know, Somali hangout, and he has a new gang of guys who look even better than the previous group. So he was just like, he was our friend, and he was like always helping us when it came to like, we need to tap into the network of Somalis.
That's it. Thank you.